Hello, everyone. Welcome to this month's Cha-ching podcast. I'm Chris, and I'm here with Allison, and we're going to be talking to you about buying used cars. Now, as you can see, we've switched from the audio podcast to the video podcast, and we're pretty excited about that. A couple months ago, we talked to you about getting your first car, what to look out for, what to expect with that type of thing, but this month we're specifically focusing on getting a used car. So let's get into it.
My choices.
My freedom.
My lifestyle.
My money.
This is the Cha-ching podcast.
Okay, so when you're looking for a car, you want to consider the type of car, and you should think about the following. A compact car is cheap to buy, run, and insure, but
It's not that good in a wreck. They are very compact, so there's sometimes major problems if you get in any sort of wreck.
right. You can get a minivan, and that has lots of room for friends and extra stuff, but
They're not that cool to drive. A lot of people don't want the huge vehicle. You know, they want the cool little car, especially the younger kids.
as far as SUVs are concerned, they're four-wheel drive typically in most cases, and they're good for bad weather and everything except
Well, they also do a lot of rollovers as well, so you got to watch for that, definitely.
safety. There's pickup trucks. Those have a lot of hauling capacity, but
They're great for things to put in the back of the bed, but they're not so good with a lot of people trying to travel with you.
right. Sports cars have high performance and everything, but
Really high insurance rates.
we have the mid-size sedans. Those do everything well, and they're affordably priced and usually are the best option for most people. And, you know, there's a few flaws here and there with that. I mean, you're going to probably compensate with looks on the car and
Sometimes,
everything.
yeah.
Right. So what kind of car is your favorite as far as from all of those there?
Right now, I like the compact, but it's also not the best. I do have a little bit higher insurance because of it. The four-door is definitely good, but you know, I'm young and I don't have any kids, so the way I see it is I'll have a two-door car for a little while longer, and then when I decide to have children, then I'll upgrade a little bit to the four-door sedan, be a little more safe.
With those compact cars too right now, with the smart cars and everything, they're kind of like coffins on the road.
Yeah, they're not very safe.
Maybe good for city traffic and stuff, but definitely not for...
Good for parallel parking.
Right. As far as my favorite, I'd have to probably go with the SUV as long as you're not driving recklessly or anything. You're not prone to those rollover accidents, and you know you can haul a lot of stuff with them. I can
Yeah.
put my kayaks up on top there and get a bunch of friends into it and get through good and bad weather all together, so it works out well.
Definitely.
One thing to keep in mind is when it comes to used cars, not all used cars are the same. Obviously, people take care of their used cars differently. Some people will always really take good care of their car, whereas someone may beat the crap out of the car. You know what I mean? They'll drive it into the ground. Exactly. So two things to keep in mind when you're looking for a car is, one, you don't want one that's more than 10 years old, and you don't want one that has more than 100,000 miles on the odometer, because you're starting to look at risky situations there. When you narrow that search down to those, there's a few other key things that you can actually look for. Body condition, you know, look for signs of rust, scratches, paint peeling, and weird noises when you open the doors and, you know, get in to drive it and everything. Tires, you want to look for the wear and tear on the tires, make sure that they're not bald or dry rotted or anything. Start up the car, see if there's any tailpipe smoke. If there's a thick cloud of, you know, dense smoke or something, there's probably something wrong with the engine. And of course, the most important is to take a test drive. You know,
You definitely need to take a test drive.
Right,
And then
because-
also think of, you know, where the turn signal is. Think of where the windshield wipers are. You want them in a normal spot. And if for some reason you're in a car with the windshield wiper on the dashboard, it's probably not the best idea.
Right.
So you just need to get comfortable with the car, and that's really what you do during your test
and
drive.
I think when you go through this whole checklist of, you know, the body condition, the tires, the tailpipe, and smoke, and everything else as far as conditions, the test drive is really the most important factor.
Yeah.
Because if everything else checks out, but you test drive the car and you don't even like driving the car, then it's a big waste of money anyway.
Right.
So it's not even really worth it.
Definitely.
Remember, always find out how much the car you can afford, how much you can afford for the car. You know, are your parents chipping in for the car? Have you saved up for the car? Maybe they're just throwing a little bit towards your car. There's a lot of things to consider, and you don't want to over budget, because if you don't have that money and you're late on your payments, they're going to collect your car back, and you're going to be in a tight spot.
That's really the most important thing to do before you even start looking for a car. You want to go to your credit union and see how much you can afford, and kind of take a good look at your finances to see what you can afford, what you can't, what you could kind of get by with. That's really the first step before you even think about what kind of car you want, is to really figure out which you can afford the best.
Take a look at your budget, set a budget aside. That's probably one of the most important things too. Start a budget, see what you can afford. Even if you take out a car loan, you want to make sure that you have something in savings as a backup plan.
Right.
Most importantly, when it comes to buying a used car, even if everything checks out fine, we don't expect you to be a car mechanic or, you know, someone that's an expert on all these things. Go to Carfax.com. Okay. Even if all these things check out on the car that you checked for, as far as the engine, the car noises, the test drive, and everything can seem fine on the surface.
Right.
You could drive it around for a year and it might seem fine. Carfax is a place where you can go for a car history report, and it tells you if the odometer has been messed with. Maybe there's fraudulent miles put on. They could roll back the mileage on it. Sometimes you'll find a car that was actually in a flood, and there's flood damage inside, and you don't know the water damage. You know, just a lot of different things. So you want to go to Carfax.com. And what I would say about that too is, don't go to Carfax.com for every car that you're looking at, because it costs money. So go through your checklist first. And if a car seems perfect for you, then you want to do the Carfax report, because that will give you that final go ahead, and, you know, go ahead to buy that then. Do you have any other tips at all?
Just, you know, take your time. A car is kind of a big investment. You don't want to be pushed into something or talked into something. It's okay to say no to the salesman. They're going to be there tomorrow. They're going to be there in a week. If you do really like the car, definitely talk to your parents about it. Definitely go to your credit union first, make sure it's what you can afford, and then sleep on it. Go home, don't buy the car right away, sleep on it. I know you might want it right away, but there's a lot to think about when buying a car. So definitely make sure you kind of have all your ducks in a row and know exactly what you can do.
Yeah, I think there's also a fine limit between the looks of a car and the safety of a car. You want those lines to meet somewhere in the middle. Something that looks good for you, but is definitely safe for you. Because there's a lot of cars out there that they look really neat, but there's not much body structure to them. So you might end up in a bad accident and it folds like an accordion. And that's not exactly good, because, you know, you can get in a lot of trouble physically. So it would be a bad idea for that.
Definitely.
So good luck finding your first car, and hopefully we see you guys next time for the next Cha-ching podcast. Have a great day.